Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is another how to bass tutorial, and today I'm going to show you how to make this sound. Alright, so you see these here. This is the Multiband delay. If you're not familiar with this plugin, it's pretty well new to FL. It's been in here since the betas have started. I am currently using the most latest release candidate version for the next version of FL Studio, FL21. Which is to say, if you download this and try to use this might not work, and I apologize for that, but pretty soon there should be a version that should be able to handle this. Now, what this is 16 individual delays that are given to 16 individual bands that are spread up in like an EQ. You can imagine this is EQ, it's straight up delaying only that particular area of the thing. What I've done, I have these two patchers here. There's essentially both of these patchers are just for one of these. And you know, get ready. But essentially, this only looks as complicated because there's just 16 of the thing I wanted to do, which was to assign an LFO to change the time of, these are delay times, is what this is. You can see they're not all moving together. And that's because all 16 of these have 16 different speeds, controlled by 16 different connections to an XY controller is this one? Nope, that's the different one. Which one are you? This is the one. There it is. 16 different like XY controllers that are just controlling. It's just an X controller that's just controlling how fast the speeds are, which is this knob up here. And then this knob up here is depth. And they're being automated. And that automation is here. This is just saying that their depths and speeds are different. And that's the whole point, is that the two of these are different. Because here's what one of them sounds like independently. Alright, so this top one is this one. I should probably put the top one on top and the bottom one on the bottom. Why don't I do that? There we go. There we go. Less confusing. Cool. Okay, so this top guy. Responsible for most of what the tone is, as you can hear. But then there's this dude. Responsible for kind of like the girth of it. And that's because, as you can see, that its mix is half and half, because this is just what the thing sounds like coming out of these two harmers. And this is what the other one sounds like. Almost the same sound, but not quite. The difference being that there's just different levels of the two of them going into each different thing. And as far as the two of them go, what they are independently, let me make sure I reassemble this right. Cool. So we have main Reese guy, who is sort of... Look how simple that sounds, right? Like that's what's beautiful about. I love the multiband delay because that's what it works with. It works with incredibly simple sounds and turned them into very not simple things. And then here's the other dude. And that's it. They're harmers, and they're doing things that they're being kind of epic, but you can kind of hear how independently they're not the most amazingly complicated super things. Just to briefly go over what's happening in here, the reason this is doing the Reese thing is because I've used the detune here on the detune. It says 0.3, and that's what's just making the move happen. It's a kind of a neat. It's basically the additive equivalent of frequency shifting. It's doing the thing where these are all getting pushed out of their original harmonic positions, and then the rate at which they are in harmonic is the Reese race that we are hearing happen. This is just by itself. I have some random sound, but it's not a lot. I have a little prism on, and it's getting automated to be off very quickly. Yeah, and then I gotta filter 2 mask because I'm using a low pass filter on here to kind of. All of this is like this bandpass is part of is the main like sound that's being happening. You can even see the shape of it in there. It's kind of there it is. And then after that, there's this thing is a tone control. You can see how like there's activity, and then there's like a cut. This second dude is the cut, and in the list here you can see it's just happening after the fact. And it's got an X control. They're all being controlled like by this macro X, and that macro X is going up here to the surface's main knob 1, which is also controlling these dudes here. And this is how the macro is being assembled. So in here, just to go over again, every one of these is an individually controlled element. Now I am doing something special. The reason why there's 2 of everything here instead of just the 16 for 1 is because on top of controlling the delay time with an LFO, I'm also controlling the volume with an LFO. You might be able to tell, but that's not the same LFO. And it's because, if you look at, here's the LFO for alt-click to have more than one thing in Patcher open at the same time. There we go. So here's a volume LFO for this guy's LFO here. And thankfully it's lining up visually so we can most clearly see what I'm trying to get done here, which is that anytime this happens, I want there to be no volume. So like, this is going up constantly and we are only ever hearing it while it is moving up or down, depending on which direction that went. Because these are either or knobs. This is the one I didn't actually make the interface for, like labeled wise. Let me go to the other one then. Boop, pop. Yeah, we have a depth, which could be negative the other way, so it's just a direction change, because it's just controlling this knob, which is what that does. Direction change. So there's 16 individual LFOs, and then there's also 16 individual other, like, duplicate LFOs for the volume that are having this particular shape, but they have to be pairs, because the speed change has to happen together. So the XY control is very, very diligently targeted to target the pairs so that they are together like that. That's all that this was. It was basically a lot of homework. It wasn't really a lot of like incredibly expensive engineering. The expensive engineering was this part, just to know that this is what I wanted to do to solve this problem. This idea that this clicking and change, because it's not actually infinite. It can't just like keep going up. But with this way, what happens is that you can see that they overlap a little bit. So that means there's always some sound of some rising quality or lowering quality, depending on which direction I particularly choose. Which also has that particular bend coming on the other way for the scale, too. There's all sorts of nifty things we can do with this. And this is the absolute just tip of the iceberg of me messing with this particular thing, which is already skipping past a lot of the really cool just step one things that this thing can do. That doesn't involve anywhere near as much work as I just did. But that's okay, because you don't have to worry about it either, because you can just download this patcher in the description of this video, and you can just take this out of it, which is done. And you don't have to worry about it. Cool. Let's talk about the compressor. So without the compressor, this is what these two are. They're balanced. I might have messed up the balance there. I don't think I did. Okay. So this is what these two sound like going into the compressor. See that big old whap? That's why the compressor. Look how wildly irregular that signal is. But that's inevitable when dealing with like incredibly over additive things like delays that just add a whole bunch of crap together. And that's pretty much every one of these bands. So they're all being crushed pretty precipitously. So why this? I'm not sure that works grammatically. You know what I mean? It's really freaking compressed. And then at the very end, I actually did like a lot more than usual saturation to the list here. All right, so normally, like, it's getting compressed anyway, but you see, like, I normally keep the ceiling here because I'm normally doing that there. But if I just do that, you can see that the center is kind of here, and I want it to be like loud. So an appreciable amount of saturation, appreciable amount of compression. It's appreciably forceful. And the main experiment for me for this sound was mostly just because this is actually the second attempt at doing one of these LFO-based things, which is like how I figured out I need to do this volume thing. But the first one I tried, I didn't actually try to do saw waves. I just tried to do sine waves. And I'm actually going to try that again, but with a different, slightly different control scheme. And it might not even be a bass that I apply this to. But this is a pretty fun start. And like, there's going to be more because this thing is my new favorite thing. It really is. It just is. Good job, Dub Switcher, the guy that designed this. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.